Ladies and gentlemen, this is Vangelus Review 100, the grail of so many children of the 90s, that which we all sought in the playground. The Dragonzord. Now there's a whole history to this guy on the Super Sentai side of things. This is Dragon Caesar from Jew Ranger. But when I was a child, I didn't know about Jew Ranger. When I was a child, the only thing I knew was that I wanted the Dragonzord, capital T, capital D, sometimes all caps. So I'm going to be focusing on that aspect of this toy, because for Review 100 I want to just share with you a chunk of my own childhood. The Dragonzord is fairly large. There are bigger toys out there, but at the time, he was about twice that big to my perception. And as you can see, he is a hefty piece of plastic. Now, there are a few differences here compared to his Super Sentai version, namely, lots of lightning bolts. I know Repro Labels does an excellent set of stickers to make this guy far more of a show-accurate Dragon Caesar, but I don't really feel the need to grab those quite yet, maybe after this video. So let's get the Sentai thing out of the way. Posability! Check it out! He can lean forward, kinda, but that makes his knees buckle inwards. And then you can kinda bend his knees, but then he's not standing flat on his feet. But this does give him a little bit of variation in his extremely meager posability. He can also wave his hands up and down, and he can get a little bit limp-wristed if you so choose. But the thing about Sentai toys is that they were never really posable. I mean, like, check this out. This was exciting to see on a toy back in the mid-90s, was that you could make the mouth do this. Thing is, Sentai never really evolved past that posability-wise, so while I harp on a lot of modern Sentai toys for being complete bricks, I really can't harp on the Dragonzord because, well, it was the Dragonzord. It came from a time when posability did not matter so much as girth and personality. On the bright side, he can do one of his trademark attacks from the show, which is to bend down and then swivel like this, thanks to his big, drill butt. And, that's a fairly effective thing on this toy. I mean, like, that's an enormous, quote-unquote, tail sticking out of the back of his, posterior. And that, combined with his size, makes him a pretty imposing opponent.
Citizens of Angel Grove, I stand before you an ally against the trials of unreputable evil that threaten your safety. You can count on me, Optimus Prime, to... What was that? Anyway, I and my Autobots will stand against any force that would unsanctify the haven of your town, be it terrestrial or extraterrestrial. Know that you should not sleep in fear at night. What was that? That you can awake to the sunrise of each day, happy and smiling, ready to see what the future will bring you. Apparently some of you have to get back to work. In a rush, but that aside, I for one can guarantee you that... What is that noise behind me?
The Dragonzord has a simple but effective sculpt, with the combination of gold and black, giving off an extremely regal appearance, suitable to that which was known once as Dragon Caesar. Though I'm not going to come down on him for a lack of posability, I would say that his fixed pose is a bit of a disappointment. One wishes his arms were outward just a little bit more, something to make him feel a little bit less like a rock'em sock'em robot. However, once you look at him long enough, you feel kind of bad saying that. Kind of bad and kind of fearful to say that, because he is looking right at you. And he is big. The Dragonzord's main gimmick in this mode is his electronics, which take 2 AA batteries, and, well, back in the early mid-90s, 2 AA batteries didn't really do much. Now, I mean, it is a great alarm clock noise, and I'm sure that if you stare into this long enough, you'll start to see the heart of madness. I'm sorry, I got a little bit hypnotized there. I do kind of wish his eyes lit up. It's really hard to tell that they're red in there unless you shine a light right on them from just the right angle, and he's kind of like, oh, you're looking at my eyes. I don't want the world to see them. And hey, there's only one thing to size compare this guy to. And let me tell you, he sizes out, actually kind of short. One other little disappointment about the Dragonzord is that even though he is large, he is deliciously large, he's not as large as the Megazord, and I always kind of wished that he was, because in the show I always felt that they were kind of on equal footing to a degree, and they really don't look like they're on equal footing here. Speaking of footing, check out my totally intentional battle-damaged Megazord. Can't find that part. But the Megazord is where the next level of play goes for the Dragonzord. So, let's say it all together, ladies and gentlemen. We need Dragonzord power, now!
Holy floating head, save me!
Imposing does not even begin to describe how enormous the shoulders are on this combination. Even though the stuff hanging off the sides is a little bit raggedy, having giant golden shoulder pads with laser cannons in them and a helmet with another dragon head on top of your own head kind of makes up for it. It always was just silly enough to not win me over though, even as a child. I always thought this mode looked kinda like, hey, I got this big robot buddy, I'ma cut him in half and wear him as a coat. You can plug some of the remaining pieces of the Dragonzord into his feet, but they don't really do anything to help out all that much. They actually kind of make things look even more unwieldy. Now, despite all these little critiques, I do like that you can at least raise the dude's arms up and just have him look like I'm gonna go Empire Attack on you, fa-boom! And it is pretty threatening. I mean, like, no matter how silly a robot looks, when they're as heavily armed as this and as enormous as this, I mean, this thing is really heavy. I would be terrified if this thing came after me. I mean, I wouldn't stop to go like, hey, you look kind of silly with that drill hanging there, because he'd probably, you know, just drop the drill on me.
Ha! Giant ludicrous robot! You do not scare the Crimson Dynamo! I will peel apart the layers of your combined robotity into each primary color! And then you will know the true might of Mother P6.
This was always my least favorite iteration of the Dragonzord, because I thought this took away the coolness of the Dragonzord. This made it feel less like this rogue element turned good and just more like a giant dragon cape, shoulder pad, hat. However, it did do one other thing. There was something the Dragonzord did back in the day when I saw him on TV that made me want the toy. Now, this is done entirely bereft of the red Tyrannosaurus, because the Green Ranger doesn't need any Red Ranger stinking up his charisma. This is also without the Pink Ranger, and her, not her missing cannon, it's her battle damage cannon. Because you see, the Dragonzord is so powerful, it doesn't even need 5, it only needs 4. And all they really have to do is help him reach a little bit farther. Because what these 4 Zords do is by far my favorite part of the entire Mighty Morphin Power Rangers play pattern. So let's say it all together again. We need Dragonzord power now! Go, Green Ranger, go! Go, Green Ranger, go! Golda's gonna get you! The first time I saw that mighty breastplate clamp closed, I realized that this was no mere accessory robot. The Dragonzord casts aside the red and pink Rangers and takes on the arms and legs of the original Megazord as his own. And it all gets capped off with a glorious Voltron-esque face reveal. Okay, go Lion. I know you're all tired of Voltron Power Rangers comparisons. But damn it, that's what I saw when I was 10 or 11. All that aside, he is a lot bulkier looking to me than the normal Megazord configuration. I think it's just these gigantic knee pads and the enormous golden dragon claw chest plate. It also helps that his weapon is about 3 times more threatening than the Power Sword. I mean, no disrespect to this thing, but just look at that. It's an enormous gimlet, which is mounted on the Dragonzord's chest plate, which is mounted on a staff stand-like thing that exists entirely for this feature. The only problem with this, and even when I was a kid I had a problem with this, because I don't think this was something you can excuse with 90s design, it's only held by this little gimlety handle, and this handle's made of a really soft, squishy plastic that pops right off immediately. It doesn't even peg in place, it kind of just settles over a nub, which means that when you want this guy to lift his drill, you basically have to pretend he's holding it the whole time, because you can try to get him to hold it by this. You certainly can try. Yeah. I'm not sure if the Zoo Ranger release of Dragon Caesar had a better component or a better mechanism, or at least just, like, way the hell stiffer plastic, and even then, I don't think the way this handle is oriented, that would even do anything. It's definitely a weak point of this configuration is that he can't wield his own mighty weapon, but at the same time, his own mighty weapon is taller than he is, and you really just need a little bit of imagination in this case. This was, to me, the top-tier mode. But in full retrospective, the Dragonzord was not just a toy I wanted. I mean, there were other toys I really wanted by name. The Megazord itself is a whole other story I'll get to some other day. But the Dragonzord was what kind of pushed me from being just a kid who bought toys to being a kid who sought toys. Even if it was driven by an incredible hype machine, the Dragonzord was the grail of many of the children of the 90s. And that's why I decided to make it review number 100. This isn't just a cool toy or an incredible piece of engineering. In fact, its engineering is a little bit questionable. But this is a piece of my personal toy collector history. I think the Dragonzord represents something for a lot of people out there who grew up around about the same time I did. And things kind of came full circle with the 2010 resurrection of Mighty Morphin. Because you know what the first thing on everyone's mind is when I look at any discussion thread about that line? Where's the Dragonzord? Oh, he also came with this. As well as his coin, but really, who bought the Dragonzord for this? I mean, it's cool and all, but... Sit, oh yeah. Sit, oh yeah. No one cares about me. I think this is the truly important part. Anyway, that's been a trip down memory lane here for Vangelus Review 100. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope that you found your true grail from when you were a kid. Whether or not you got it back then. Because it's these kind of things that are made that much more important by our memories. And I'm not really driven by nostalgia that much. This has been Internet Personality Vangelus. That's 100 numbered reviews. The triple digits have begun. And if I get through those before next year, then I really am a sad person. Anyway, Dragonzord, play us out.